In 1950, a man asked a question that would haunt the next century. Can machines think? His name was Alan Turing. He did not live to see the answer. But the question he left behind has grown louder every year. Until today, it is no longer a thought experiment. It is the single most important question facing our civilization. This is the story of how humanity built a new kind of mind, from a dream on paper to a threshold we may not be able to step back from. This is the AI timeline. For most of history, intelligence belonged to one thing: life. Mind was the exclusive property of biology, of brains, of neurons, of flesh. Then a mathematician in post-war Britain asked whether that monopoly could be broken. Alan Turing was not the first to imagine thinking machines, but he was the first to make the question precise. In October 1950, he published a paper titled Computing Machinery and Intelligence. Its first line was a question: can machines think? Turing knew the word think was slippery, so he replaced it with a test. He proposed a game, an imitation game. It was a brilliant dodge. And he made a bet that by the year 2000, a machine would fool an average judge more often than not. He was wrong about the date. He was right about everything else. In the summer of 1956, the dream gathered in one place. A young mathematician named John McCarthy invited a small group to Dartmouth College under a name he had coined the year before: Artificial Intelligence. The attendees were optimistic. The proposal claimed that every aspect of learning could be described so precisely that a machine could simulate it. They believed the problem would take a generation. In a sense, they were right. It took longer. In another sense, they had started a clock that has never stopped ticking. The early years of AI were full of confidence. Programs played checkers. They proved theorems. They solved algebra. Each success felt like proof that human-level machine intelligence was close. But confidence became hype, and hype has a cost. The first AI winter began in the 1970s. Researchers had promised systems that could understand language, recognize images, and reason like humans. The machines of the era could do none of it. Funding dried up. Governments pulled back. Laboratories went quiet. It happened again in the late 1980s. Once more, expectations outran reality. Once more, the money disappeared. From the outside, AI looked like a failure, a field of broken promises. But inside the quiet laboratories, something different was happening. A small community refused to abandon the question Turing had asked. They refined the mathematics, chief among them a method called backpropagation, which finally showed how to teach a network with many layers. They rebuilt the neural networks first imagined decades earlier. They waited for the one thing they lacked. They needed more data. They needed faster machines. They needed time. The lesson of the AI winters is simple, and it is uncomfortable. Progress in artificial intelligence has never been a straight line. It has been a story of faith, tested by failure, waiting for the world to catch up to the idea. 4 years later, the future learned to play a game older than empires. In March 2016, in Seoul, an AI called AlphaGo faced the world champion Lee Sedol at Go. A game so complex, there are more possible positions than atoms in the observable universe. Most experts believed a machine could not master it for decades. AlphaGo won the match, 4 games to 1. But the real moment came in Game 2. On the 37th move, AlphaGo made a play no human professional would have considered. The commentators called it a mistake. Lee Sedol sat in silence, unable to find an answer. Then, move by move, the strategy revealed itself. It was not a mistake. It was something no human had ever conceived. The commentators called it beautiful. A machine had done more than win. It had been, in some narrow sense, creative. The final piece fell into place in 2017. A team at Google published a paper with an unlikely title, "Attention is all you need." It proposed a new architecture, the transformer. It allowed machines to weigh the importance of every piece of information at once, to find patterns across entire documents, entire languages, entire fields of knowledge. No one yet realized it, but the transformer would become the engine of everything that followed. And when researchers discovered that these models grew smarter simply by growing larger, fed on more data, more text, more compute, the curve began to bend. For most people, AI arrived on a single day, November 30th, 2022. A chatbot called ChatGPT was released to the public. Within 5 days, 1 million people had used it. Within 2 months, 100 million. It was the fastest-growing consumer technology the world had ever seen, until even that record began to fall. But ChatGPT was not a beginning. It was a doorway. The moment the work of decades walked out of the laboratory and into everyday life. Since then, artificial intelligence has moved from novelty to infrastructure. It drafts legal contracts. It discovers drug compounds. It writes code. It diagnoses disease. It is restructuring how humans work, create, and think. Not in some distant future, but now. Most of the technologies we built before replaced human muscle or extended human reach. This one is different. For the first time, a tool is competing with the thing that makes us human, our minds. And the curve is not slowing, it is accelerating. Which brings us to the question that the founders of this field never stopped asking, and that we can no longer afford to avoid. When does a machine become more than a tool? Researchers call this threshold AGI, Artificial General Intelligence, a system that can match or exceed human capability across any task. Some experts believe it is years away. Others believe it is decades. A few believe it may never arrive at all. There is no consensus. Anyone who tells you they know the date is guessing. Beyond AGI lies a more speculative idea: superintelligence, a mind that surpasses humanity in every domain, including the science of building minds. It remains a hypothesis, not a prophecy. Whether it is possible or whether it is safe, no one can yet say. What is certain is this: we have built something unprecedented. In 75 years, we traveled from a question on paper to machines that create, reason, and surprise us. The AI timeline is not a story about technology. It is a story about what happens when a species builds a rival to its own intelligence. and then has to decide what to do with it. Turing asked, "Can machines think?" Perhaps the harder question is the one he never asked. If they can, what does that make us? Understand the past, decode the present, build the future. This is Continuum Chronicle.